No matter where you stand, there'll be people watching going, "Oh, this is crap." There's a, whatever. Everybody has
Oh,
an open
sure.
mind. Other people will go, "Oh God, I want to hear it." That's kind of how I am. I love this stuff. That's why we're talking to you. This might be an icebreaker for you to bring up issues that you don't otherwise know how to talk about.
Did you push record?
Thanks so much for tuning back into Second Act TV. Today, our topic returns to love and relationships after 50, and staying with me for another segment to talk about how numerology might just give us some insight into our relationships and the issues associated with that is Trisha Gunberg. Trisha, thanks so much for staying over.
Hi, Silka. Thanks for having me again talking about relationships. I'm loving my relationship with you.
Well, we just finished a segment on numerology and how that affects or how you can use it to affect and create your fitness. Very interesting. I've never really heard it apply
Yeah.
like that. So we'll link to that. Perhaps a bit more, I mean, not mainstream, but you hear all over or see all over the internet if you Google it, numerology as it applies to your relationships. And of course, that's a huge topic here on Second Act. So, what I wanted to
Uh-huh.
ask you, and by way of introduction, Trisha is a numerologist and an intuitive healer. And you made a good suggestion to me on how to apply it to our demographic, meaning the 50 and over, long-term relationships, or starting over again. What kind of insight can numerology give you to perhaps not make that same mistake or stop making mistakes?
Right. If you're already in it, what do you, yeah, what do you do? Okay. Well, first of all, numerology will give you the gift of understanding yourself and your positive attributes. So you could take a look at that. A copy of my book would help you with that as well. And then you take a look at the attributes for your spouse, right? So that's one way to do it, right? Now, I know if I was going to date Silka, I know she's really independent. And so as a man, I better check myself because I know she's independent and I there's certain things that come along with that, right? Makes sense, right? Or a businesswoman. So the energy of the number one and being a leader and doing unique things, whoever you date not only needs to understand that, but appreciate that about you, that you're very independent. So that's one example. Then, if you're trying to figure out the energy that a couple is working, you take your life path number, and we'll do that in the show notes. We did that on the last show, so they could go back and watch the last show we taped together. You take your life path number and your spouse or potential spouse, their life path number, and you subtract the small number from the big number. So
Okay.
let's take example life path 1 and a life path 9. So
Okay.
I already explained to you that the 1 is going to be very independent, okay? And we've got the 9 who's sensitive. They're here to inspire, and they're a humanitarian, and they like to love on things. That's what a 9 does. Um, and so those two people, that 9 has got to understand, right? That one's going to be off doing whatever. Like, oh, I have a spouse. What? Because they're doing their own thing, and the 9's like, oh, come on, let's have lots of animals. Let's take care of the earth. Let's slow down. And the one's like, go, 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 right? So just understanding that, right, about each other. And I guess I said it in a funny way, but isn't that a lot better than where are you going again?
Right.
Right?
Absolutely.
Or why are you donating so much money to that cause? You know, right? Same energy, but a different take on it. So understanding yourself and using numerology to do it goes a long way. Then the next step is to, if you're in that relationship, then what energy are you working? So now that energy of the 1 and the 9, we subtract it and we get an 8. The 8 is the manifester. So this is a power couple. They need to understand that when they get together and they decide something they want and they write it down, even if it's something crazy like moving to Hawaii, a house with a foot bath, whatever it is that they have come together to decide, they can manifest it. And they can manifest a whole lot of crazy too if they decide. So that's a way of figuring out, clues to your relationship and what you're working.
So a couple of things that came up for me while we were talking here. One is that just because you're total opposites or wherever you are, it's not necessarily a bad thing or that you should steer away from that. It's a matter of understanding what you bring to the table and how that fits together, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And I know, and just a heads up to people, a lot of when I went looking for relationship advice, it was more like this one and this one is compatible, right? They do that with astrology too. This one and this one is not compatible. Well, when I did the numerology on me and my spouse, it wasn't very favorable as far as compatibility, as far as the number goes. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's an 8. I want to mess. I got this. I got it. So no, it's not good, bad. It's just what you said. It's understanding what that other person, what you're both bringing to the table is so important.
Yeah, and you know what else I like
Yeah.
about this? No matter where you stand, there'll be people watching going, "Oh, this is crap." There's whatever. Everybody has
Oh,
an open
sure.
mind. Other people will go, "Oh God, I want to hear it." That's kind of how I am. I love this stuff. That's why we're talking to you. And
Uh-huh.
we've done other numerology stuff with Paige believes in this big time. Patricia Kirkman was on a couple of years ago. She's wonderful. So I love this topic, but especially with relationships, and we deal with relationship issues. This might be an icebreaker for you to bring up issues that you don't otherwise know how to talk about. Oh man, I saw this video. This was so funny. You know what? I did our numbers, and maybe this is why we don't get along. You can bring
Oh.
something to the table where otherwise it'd be like, God, we need to talk. We haven't. For some reason, that just came to me, and I'm wondering if that could actually help
Well,
somebody.
yeah, you're right. It's a lot less. You're not being defensive, or you're not. It's not something. Yeah, I never even thought about that as a tool to sit down and have a conversation with it. I've just seen it because I do readings,
Right.
and I explained to a woman she's a 4, uh, life path number 4, and so she's. 4 is a step-by-step process. So she's very linear in her thinking. First we do this and then we do that. And her husband is that lovey-dovey too, that's always balancing things. So she's like, yep, got the list made, let's go. And her husband's like, and so now, since I gave her that little gift of look at yourself and look at him, she's like, oh, he's balancing. Oh, he doesn't want to hurt somebody's feelings. And she has so much more compassion, and she doesn't get irritated at him anymore. And she reminded me of that gift that I gave her. She's like, oh, my life is so much easier. So, yeah.
No, I love that. It is, and sometimes if you can, you use that great word, compassion, empathy. If you can bring that to the table versus anger and frustration and resentment, that's half the battle in fixing what might be going on in your relationship. So why not have it be through numerology?
Right. And I look at terms of usually when somebody's irritating you, I like to apply the mirror technique, because if it's irritating you, then it reflects back to you something in you. Like I was saying, somebody that would be irritated by a very independent person, there might be part of them that wishes they could be a little bit more independent. So, yeah, so compassion and understanding. Yeah, dynamite things.
Well,
Hmm.
lots to think about, and just in different ways, especially right now when we have lots of time to think. And maybe take charge of our life in different ways.
Lots of time to argue, right? Would that be in between going to the refrigerator? Right.
Exactly.
Hmm.
If you're
Right.
seeing this video in a year or so from now, we're in the middle of the pandemic, the COVID-19, and these are really, yeah, these are great topics to come at lots of different directions. Well, we
Right.
will have all the information about how to find calculate your life path number. Correct, Tricia?
Yep.
Yeah, we'll have that in the show notes, and as well as some descriptions that you've provided as to what that means. And I know
Yes.
that you very generously offered to do some free readings for some of our viewers. So I'll provide information as well on how to, email us, and we'll pick some
Get
viewers
more
to get some
information.
free readers.
Nice.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you want to add before we sign off on this segment?
No, just that, yeah, they once they do the math, they'll be able to look up the number. So that I talked about the number eight and what the energy of the number eight would mean. So I'm doing that. You'll get that information for 1 through 8 plus the zero, because that's an interesting fact, right? Two ones that are dating or married, and we subtract it, and it equals a zero. So the zero is a very interesting number too. So that doesn't mean it zeroes out. That means that you're a lot alike and that you just might have more challenges, right? Or do you just really appreciate each other and get each other? Could go either way.
Yeah, no, thank you so much, Trisha. You were just so fun. And, there's so many more things we can talk about when it comes to this. And I hope to see you soon again on another segment of Second Act
Yes, I would
TV.
love it.
See you
All
soon.
right.
Bye bye.
Okay. Thank you, Silka. Mwah.
If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to our channel. The button is right over here. Just click on through to YouTube, and when you see the little bell right next to the subscribe button, hit that too. We'll notify you every time we launch a new video. See you next time.